Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the channel at an unusual time for me. We're going to do a brief, I say brief, I mean it's going to be the duration of the race, but we are going to do a rewatch of last night's Formula USA race at Gateway, otherwise known as the Worldwide Technology Raceway. It was a tremendous race, first oval of the season, raced it under the lights, always a blast to do. Obviously, I know the outcome, but didn't get to see all the battles that transpired, so we will be witnessing that firsthand. I just accidentally clicked out of the replay, though, so bear with me here as we get back into it. Was a great race. Looking forward to getting into our next oval, which will be Indianapolis, but we've got Long Beach in between now and then, so that'll be a brutal street fight. Should be loads and loads and loads of fun. No qualifying or practice will be broadcast on this. I do apologize. There's just no way for me to broadcast it, so we'll just have to kind of roll with the punches. I'm letting everything load in here real quick. But yeah, last night we had a great race, great turnout, low attrition rate, some really impressive drives from several drivers on the field, some great debut races for a lot of guys in the series, which is always good to see. So really looking forward to watching this one back and giving you all a little bit of commentary. As I am doing commentary, it will be, as usual, I'm going to refer to myself in the third person. So just as a heads up, I'm going to try to get us a really nice angle here on the race start. And then we'll flip over to like a standard trackside camera. All right. So without further ado, this is the VPG Sim 200. We did 200 miles last night, 160 laps around Worldwide Technology Raceway. It's a mile and a quarter short oval here in Madison, Illinois. Oftentimes referred to as St. Louis because St. Louis is right on the other side of the river. But without further ado, let's get this race underway. And right off the bat, Jeff H. lunges to the front. Great start from our current championship tie with first as we have the first safety car out. Looks like Zigzag Bruno has gone upside down, struggling to get that car righted. Nobody else. Looks like Ryan Fisher maybe has gotten collected in that incident. And Zigzag Bruno does retire to the pits. Very unfortunate for Bruno. Showed some decent pace, had a good qualifying run. And Jeff H. will currently lead the field here on the safety car laps. It's No Use trailing right behind. It's No Use been having a tumultuous season after dominating our 2025 inaugural season. We'll call it Season 0 or the 2025 season since it went so long and, you know, ended up being shifted around a little bit. I just realized I'm on the wrong... Had a rough start to this season. Not been particularly happy with his performance, I'm sure. But continues to qualify well. He did manage to recover great at Kyalami last week. Ted Piper with a great qualifying effort, and Matty Ice qualified in the top 6 and looking at a career best start in this series. So the lights look to be out on the safety car. I believe we go green in the next lap. Second place Merchant, P5, and Elbow will be your final driver in the top 6 here. We start single file as the sun begins to set here in Madison, Illinois. Engines in these cars will start getting more power. You'll notice we are on the short oval variant here, so winglet has been taken out of the rear aero package, as well as the front aero. You'll notice that there's only one wing plate, not 2 on either side. Jeff H. We've got one more lap under yellow. Super Goose making his debut race with us. Had a great qualifying. So that's P7. The number 14 Utosia Machine. Glad to have Super Goose out here. And Sloth with a great qualifying run as well. Had a rough start last week at Kyalami. Some technical difficulties forced him off track during the pace laps, formation lap at the beginning, and unfortunately undid his race before he got a chance to run it. So now safety car hanging low. Be diving into pit lane this time by Jeff H. Will lead the field as the green lights show. Good jump out of turn 4 and down the front straightaway. Jeff H. will be your race leader. Trailing close behind is It's No Use and Matty Ice. Leads second place Merchant by about half a second. And now we've got some movement back here. Super Goose down on the inside of Elbow, trying to make it stick down the back straightaway. Super Goose keeps it low, jumps to the high, and looks like he's got the pass complete on Elbow. Is now Sloth looking to try to gain some slipstream down into 4. Can he make a move? Slingshotting into turn 1. Doesn't think to do it this lap. Just trying to keep the car planted, keep it in position. It's Tiago Lorena. Oh, and now we've got to move down the backstretch. Good pass from the number 21 machine of Sloth. Now Trucks in History up into the slipstream, rocking my livery. But it's a good-looking livery. Can see why he's doing it. As now Ted has dove into pit lane. Trucks in History trying to work over Sloth. Really struggling, and now Lorena trying to catch some slipstream. In the number 123, Lorena now tucks down underneath Trucks in History and looks to try to get a run down on the front straightaway and regain some lost ground from qualifying here. He's not going to get it done just yet. Can he get a run on the exit of 2? Nothing happening just yet, but everybody is stacked up super close. This Trucks in History now having a look, but Lorena not giving up the ground, not giving up the track position, but he leaves an opening, and now Trucks in History down on the inside. We're going to go too wide into turn 1. Brilliant look from Trucks in History. He's going to get him on the inside. They drag race down the back straightaway. Lorena trying to hold on to the position, but he's not going to get it done. Trucks in History surges in front on the entry to turn 3 and has a great run on the front straight on Sloth. Too wide down the front stretch and into turn 1. He's going to have the inside line. Hanging Sloth high. That's going to give Trucks in History P6 as the battle continues to rage on down behind. Sean Stewart with a deep lunge on the back straightaway, trying to get around Lorena. Making up ground, had a poor qualifying run, but he's got a nudge. Bit of a nudge. Everything looks to be okay as now Sean's going to start losing a ton of pace. Spiky Cactus and Les Paul Obsession all around Sean is now Sean and Les side by side into turn one. Les thinking better of it, bows out, but holds his own in the middle lane. Sean stuck at the top line, trying not to wash into the wall. Is now Groove Armada charging to get around Magruder. Really struggling to get it done. He's trapped. His second place Merchant has dove into the pit lane with what looks to be damage. Is now Groove and Randy really close, firing it on the outside. Groove will get around Randy Magruder, but only just, and now we're drag racing down the back straightaway again as Groove just tries to keep the landing. 2/10 to the good, trapped behind some lap traffic here. There's a bit of a spin. Not sure who that was, but Groove gets around. A little bit of contact. It's Lorena now trying to hold off Sean Stewart. These guys, top three in the championship. Very, very close championship fight right now. And Lorena just doing what he can to keep Sean behind him. Is now Sean trying to hold off Cactus, who's making his Formula USA Season 1 debut. But behind Cactus, Les Paul Obsession really trying to work over the slipstream, keeping it high on the front straightaway and through turn one. Look at the brakes glow. One of the few ovals this season, actually the only oval this season, that you'll have to use the brake pedal and the gear shift to go down other than pit lane. Is now Les Paul Obsession around Spiky Cactus and charging fast for Sean Stewart. Elbow trying to regain some ground. Looks like he had a little bit of an incident early race, but nothing he cannot save as Dan Shea way down the running order, trying to recoup some lost ground as well. Did not have a great qualifying attempt, but he is finding a rhythm, finding a groove, and doing what he can to get this thing in the home stretch. Currently sitting P18, dives to the inside of Maximo, but doesn't make it stick. Just trying to find the opening. Remember, folks, no push-to-pass here on the ovals and only one tire compound, slick oval. So, tire restrictions are null and void. And right behind Dan Shea is none other than our race leader, Jeff H., who is commanding the field right now, but it's no use keeping him in his crosshairs, just trying to hang on close enough. But Jeff carving through the lap traffic like they're standing still as he now comes up on Hasta La Vista Donkey. Incredible run from Jeff H. this season. On pace to set another podium, which would be 3 podiums this season. Spiky Cactus and Sean Stewart deep on the inside will hold the bottom lane into turn one. Is Cactus brave enough to match him? We've got contact, a little bit of a brush. Cactus grazes the wall, doesn't seem to have too much damage, and Sean will get around. Groove Armada on the inside of Cactus. Cactus answering with speed on the outside lane. Trailing behind Groove is none other than Randy Magruder, trying to recover some ground as it looks like Ted Piper has now retired to the pits. Seems to be an engine issue. Spiky Cactus facing a horde of angry cars behind him. Randy Magruder trying to chase down Groove Armada and Morn Duploy, who's also had a somewhat tumultuous season. Really trying to fire it back and turn it around here tonight at Gateway in the number, I believe that's 38? 38. Number 38 Coca-Cola machine. Love to see the old Coke car out there. Groove and Cactus. Back it blows again. Good run from Groove in the 34, the Yellow Submarine. Can he get him on the inside? Groove bows out of the turn and gives Cactus the ideal lane here. Fires down to the inside. Good run. Oh, and I'm seeing flashing lights. I believe that means safety car is out. Who has collided? We've got Randy Magruder, who seems to have lost his arrow. He's going to try to limp her back to pit lane as the safety car goes around. Unfortunate collision there for Randy Magruder. He's having a great battle there with Groove Armada for a moment. As we cycle through our second safety car of the evening, we've run 24 laps tonight in Gateway here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Lights are on the track, folks. Sun is getting low. Track temps are going to start to heat up. These tires are going to only be able to hold on for about 30 to 35 laps. So drivers really have to try to figure out a strategy here. Holding on 30 laps, you're getting a 4-stop race, and you're at the end of a tire stint by lap 160. Now, actually, you're at the end of the tire stint by lap 150, but if you could stretch them to 35, you might be able, to get 160 laps, but you will struggle. See, trick is at the ovals, folks. Tire wear is crucially important to strategy. Road courses, if you lose a 10th or 2/10 every lap, it's not the end of the world, but on an oval, 2/10 adds up. As now Jeff H. starts to lead the field down to pit lane. Several drivers box, including championship leader tied, Tiago Lorena. He's going to get out of the box just before Jeff H. gets to stop. Jeff H. looking for some fresh fuel and tires in the 00 machine. It's a throwback livery tonight here at Gateway in honor of his fantastic first season. Matty Ice currently leading the field by staying out on the pit cycle. Now, the trouble that this is going to bring Matt is due to AMS2's safety car restrictions. He is trapped behind backmarker cars. He's going to have to work his way up through the field as now he dives into pit lane. Looks like the pit window might be staggered. Some drivers in, some drivers out. Randy Magruder, where is he at? Back out on track after some repairs. Good news is on these cars, if the rear wing gets knocked off, it's a pretty quick and simple fix. And if you have a pretty square collision, it does not take long to get the cars back to an operational state. So we jump back ahead to Jeff H., who will lead. It's no use. Just behind. Sean Stewart behind Les Paul Obsession, I believe that is, who is a lap down from the race leaders. Sean, currently sitting P3, be looking to get around Les Paul Obsession. In hopes to claim a podium position. Is now we're back underway. Green flag racing. Jeff H. leads the field. Sean Stewart gets a nice, beautiful move on the inside, and there's already collisions. And I believe the safety car has come back out. Who has taken the blow this time? Gabriel Prado up wide, riding the wall. Everybody trying to be careful not to get tossed around in the pit cycle. Not sure who might have stopped. Was it Crazy Mittens, perhaps? I saw a wing. Ah, okay, so here's our first victim here. We've got Reales. Trucks in History seems to be fine. Ryan Fisher seems to be fine. This may have been an unfortunately self-inflicted, as Randy Magruder awful slow on the front straightaway here during the pace laps, maybe trying to get cycled back to where he needs to be for the restart. Super Goose filters back up to 5th place. Spiky Cactus in 4th. Sean Stewart with a clean move on the restart to get around the lapped traffic and puts the 92 Security Solutions machine back on the podium. Riala's in pit lane, looks to have been for some repairs. Crazy Mittens still hanging out there. It must have been just the one car. I don't see anybody else in pit lane that was not there already. Hopefully this will be a short safety car period. Oh, shit. Does anybody know what lap we were on? Fuck. Cannot believe I just did that. Trying to use that free cam more, and goddamn, if you hit the right click button just once, it kicks you out of the replay, and I really hate that. I need to see if I can disable that control because I do it so much. We were probably right around lap 28, if I had to guess. Lap 28 sounds about right. Was it lap 30? I was going to say lap 30, but I didn't feel like we had enough time to get 6 laps in. Maybe we did. Times will start to filter down the board here. We'll just watch the safety car. Okay. So this was the first caution for sure. Okay, safety car is in. And then we had a good bit of green flag racing. And then the safety car came back out around lap 20. 17:23 is when it cut. Oh. Tremendously helpful, Christopher. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Was trying to get an idea of when we were going green again. Okay, we're going to just not push the right click button. Okay, that's a good seat. Get a good replay here before we jump to the race leader. Remember, Jeff H. is your race leader. Looks to be Crazy Mittens leads the field to green, though. Once again, this is an issue with AMS2's safety cars and how it handles safety cars. The driver's working fiercely to warm up tires. Tiago Lorena, a little bit of a wiggle down there on the bottom lane. Folks, I want to thank everybody for joining us for the rewatch. Whether you're watching live or you're watching back on YouTube or Twitch, we are streaming live to YouTube and Twitch both. So be sure to check us out in either capacity. As racing now resumes, the safety car is back down in pit lane, and Jeff H. will fire it on the outside of Crazy Mittens to regain lead pack driver. Great to see Jeff H. return to form here at Gateway, a personal favorite track of his. He's talked about how much he enjoys this track. And it is a fantastic track. He leads the field to green and holds it. Sean Stewart rounding out your top 3 in P3. It's No Use leads him by about a second. The racing rages on between Maximo and Groove Armada back here in the mid-pack for P8. Maximo really trying to work Groove Armada, pushing the tires. I believe that is a visual issue there. Full lock on the inside. Spiky Cactus is going to get around Maximo. Diving into the slipstream into turn 3. Can Maximo make the move with a lot of steering input on those front tires? I don't know if that's a visual issue, but he has got to be abusing the front tires there. As Les Paul Obsession will be facing some pressure from another 27 machine of Gabriel Prado. Second place Merchant tucked back behind Les Paul Obsession. A lap down, I believe. Just trying to unlap himself, and he does get around, and that's going to open the door for Prado on the inside, but Les catching a little bit of the side draft. Going into turn 3 down the back straightaway. Going to be facing some pressure on a couple fronts here. Back onto the inside of second place Merchant. Les fires it to the bottom lane, glowing on the brakes. Little bit of a wash on the on the exit of 2. And Trucks in History now shoots up the inside on the bottom lane. We're 3 wide down the back straightaway into turn 3. Les gets blasted as we've now got 2 LPO cars and 3 number 27s as Gabriel Prado spins on the front straightaway. Seems to have had a decent recovery. The car doesn't seem to be jacklegged on him. I think he's going to keep racing. Donkey and Maximo have both dove into pit lane. Groove Armada staying out. Folks, as I said, the crossover point on these tires is 33 to 35 laps. So anybody that's still running their first set of tires, they're bold, but we've had a lot of safety laps. We've had a lot of cautions. As now Tiago Lorena working to get around Matty Ice here. Matt having an incredible drive tonight. Best qualifying attempt of his Formula USA career with ARL, and he is on pace to have his best finish of his ARL career in Formula USA. As he works to hold off Tiago Lorena, who's dropping back ever so little each lap. Sean Stewart now in pit lane. Spiky Cactus will get around on the overcut. Groove Armada trying to work over Morn Deploy here. Or I'm sorry, not Morn Deploy. He is stuck in traffic behind Maximo and chasing down Reales in the 23 machine. Ryan Fisher trying to hold off Donkey here. Both of these cars are levitating. Just ignore that fact. It's a good old desync issue. It's Fisher trying to close the gap down on Sloth now, but Donkey looking to take up on the inside. Great defensive maneuver there from Fisher, just trying to break the slipstream. Folks, the slipstream is key when you race these cars. Any bit of draft is going to help gain a great run. As they come out of turn 4, Donkey's got to try to make another attempt, maybe on the exit of 2 if he's got a good enough run going into turn 1, and on the exit of 2, can he make it happen? Keeps it tucked low, but not enough of a run. Really trying to get close now. You got to time the pop perfectly. If you can get out of the window just right, you could fire it on the inside and slingshot ahead. But he cannot get the run. Fisher doing a great job of holding his line, holding a great defense, and keeping that car right where he wants it. We've got debris on track. I believe that is possibly Reales. Nope, I'm not sure whose wing that is. Duploy. It looks to have been Morn Duploy. Lap 44, the missing wing. He will get it fixed. As Fisher Really starting to face the pressure from Donkey here. Cannot complete the run on the exit of turn 2. Just doesn't have himself the track. He doesn't feel confident in the car on the low line, so he's going to shoot it to the outside. A little bit of contact, but Donkey will get around Fisher, and that is for position. P14 goes to Donkey. And Fisher now looking to try and answer. Deploy in pit lane for repairs is now Prado trying to pounce on Les Paul Obsession. Every lap a little closer. Les seems to be struggling on tires a little bit, starting to wash wide on the exit. Sean Stewart using every inch of track behind. Almost clipped the wall, but managed to keep it planted as Les starting to feel the pressure from the 7-Eleven car behind of Gabriel Prado. As Morin goes wide and into the wall, hits it pretty square, but I believe that's probably a broken toe link. He's going to struggle to sidestep it back as the car shimmies a little bit, but he's going to keep it out on track. Maybe it was not a damaged suspension. As Les grazes the wall just a little bit, Prado trying to capitalize. But Prado falls back, and now Les going to be passed by the faster car of Matty Ice in P4. Donkey really looking to try and gain some time up on Sloth. This gap is currently 1 second. Continues to dwindle. As now Matt looks to make a move on the inside. Very aggressive on turn 1. Keep in mind, folks, this is not for position. This is a lapped car trying to safely be passed by a lead lap car. Matt constantly losing ground on the cars ahead of him. Every lap he's trapped behind these lapped cars. The trouble with this series, though, folks, the lapped cars do not have to yield position. They can continue to race their race. And right now, Les just trying to gain some ground as Matt now diving low. Prado is going to use that to get by. Les goes around the lapped car of Maximo. And Prado with a great run out of turn 4 and into the front straightaway. Gap continuing to close here, folks. I'm sorry, it's opening. Sean Stewart and Gabriel Prado now very close. Sean trying to get into this battle for P9. Prado gets around Les, and Sean fires up the inside. That is going to be 2 positions lost if Les can't hold the position into turn 1. Prado now takes P9. Sean likes to try to get an exit, but he clips Deploy. Morn might have sustained some damage there. The car doesn't look like it wants to drive in a straight line, and now Sean trying to catch the slipstream. Can he get around on the exit of 4? He's going to peek to the inside on the exit. Doesn't have the run. But he peeks on the entry. Les doing what he can to leave a little room. Little bit of a love tap there. No major damage done. A little bit of a shoulder check, but everybody is in good shape. Deploy has dove into pit lane for what I presume will be a little bit of suspension repair on that machine. This is now lap 54 of this competition. Is now a little bit of contact that has significantly hampered Les's pace here. Is now Sean on the warpath trying to catch up to whomever he can. And Gabriel Prado looking to attack Groove Armada with a beautiful pass on the inside. Groove looking to answer on the exit of 4. Doesn't get the run he likes, so he tucks back into the slipstream. We'll likely see him dive onto the inside. Turn 1, no. Prado maintains an immense amount of pace over Groove Armada. Gabriel Prado is charging forward. A driver we've only seen a few times this season is now Sean Stewart fires around Groove Armada. Groove might be struggling on tires, folks. He is dropping like a ton of bricks. Sloth and Donkey still within striking distance. Groove in the chat says, I was damaged there. Well, that would explain why you started to drop. Donkey on the inside of Sloth going into turn 1. Doesn't get it done. Washes out wide. Ducks back into the slipstream. Is now Sloth. Breaks to try to break the draft. Dives to the low line. This battle rages on. Groove now in the pit lane to repair what I presume was the 22 points of aero damage he has just pointed out in chat. Aerodynamics very important here at Gateway. And Jeff H has opened up his lead at the front of the field to 10 seconds. Donkey doing everything he can to get around Sloth here. And we have a safety car. Where is the incident? We've got a car up here. It looks like it might be... It's no use? No? I'm not sure what brought this safety car out. I don't see any significant damage to anybody. And nobody seems to be stopped. Aside from the ones we know were stopped. Sloth and Prado have both pitted. Prado maybe had an incident. He is missing a rear wing. I would say that might be what brought out our yellow. Morn looks to have retired to pit lane. Trucks in history diving in on lap 61 of this 160 lap feature event. Folks, we're already closing in on the halfway point, if you can believe it. What a race this has been. It's Jeff H. Currently your race leader, and I believe was your pole sitter. Great. Actually, I correct myself. I think It's No Use might have been the pole sitter as Jeff H breaks off and takes it to pit lane. Groove Armada will stay out and hang behind the safety car to try to gain a lap back. As we discussed just a moment ago, Groove had to dive into pit lane to make some aerodynamic repairs. This safety car might have been a lifeline. Everybody ahead of him had to box for tires and fuel. Race leaders are in the pit lane. Jeff H, Matty Ice, It's No Use. That is your top three as they stand. Jeff H will get out of the box first. Matty Ice with a longer stop will be costly on pit exit. Comes out filtered down in P4 behind Super Goose. This is their debut race with AMS2, and what a debut race it's been so far. Great qualifying attempt, and currently sitting P3 at what I consider to be one of the most challenging ovals on the calendar. Massive props. Jeff H trying to get tires up to temp. Keep everything in one piece as the pack starts to form back up. Leaders will be trapped behind a lot of lapped traffic on this restart. We are back to racing, folks. Jeff H. trying to find some opportunities to get around the back markers and put some picks between him and It's No Use. Behind him, the fight is not over. 7-10 separates P10 and P11, and Merchant will be trying to return and retaliate. Jeff H. carving through the field like a hot knife in butter, getting through these back markers with ease and authority, leaving It's No Use to try to pick up the pieces and recover, with Jeff H. already opening the gap to 1 second, almost 2. It's now second place Merchant, working his way through the back marker traffic. It's No Use stuck way back behind tons of lapped cars, trying to get around Spiky Cactus now. And second place Merchant just trying to find an opportunity and opening a window, as Sloth now closing the gap on Merchant. It is now or never. The longer he gets stuck, the trickier it's going to be to hold off Sloth, who is coming fast as they just about went 3 wide into turn 3. Merchant, great run on the front straightaway, getting around Cactus. But Cactus not yielding the position just yet, hanging it high in the 22 machine. Merchant has a great run, but not enough. Sloth still hanging right there, just a few tenths behind. And a big incident from, I believe that was Maximo, goes wide, clips the wall. That could be some significant suspension damage, as now Merchant facing more pressure from the back marker cars, just trying to get their lap back. Sloth hangs right behind the battle ahead of him. Welcome to the chat, Nat. This is actually Automobilista 2. Sloth trying to hold off. Oh, I apologize. Is not for position. It's now the fight between Dan Shea and Les Paul Obsession looks to be heating up. Dan Shea all over the back of the 27 machine, trying to find an opportunity. Lap traffic really starting to hinder Les. As we just witnessed, Maximo had a big brush with the wall, potentially damaging suspension and aero. Is now Dan Shea fires it to the inside, brakes glowing on the number 27 LPO machine, and Dan Shea gets it done, putting a pick between him and Les, but Les finds the opening. As now it seems as Maximo dives out of the way and gives the faster cars the opportunity to get around. Les dives back into the slipstream. And it is now Dan Shea who has to defend. The gap has opened to just under a second, and Les finding a bit of a rhythm, finding a bit of a groove and a pocket in that slipstream. Folks, dirty air is super detrimental to these cars, especially in the corners, but if you can use the slipstream of the car ahead to your advantage, rolling the weight jacker forward and biting on the front, you can really make a move and attack in some of these corners. It's the fight behind has all but fizzled out for the time being. Different folks with different incidents on different strategies. Sean Stewart diving into pit lane on lap 73. And Dan just trying to hold off the LPO machine. Les has a great run out of turn 4, and it looks to be that Gabriel Prado down on the bottom lane, maybe approaching pit box. Is now Les really trying to make a move happen. Dan Shea trying to break the draft. So you're right on board the number 27 LPO machine into turn 3. With a great run. Dan puts up a defense, but fast onto the outside. LPO machine goes wide, hanging it high, and into turn 2 with a beautiful pass on Dan Shea. That was for position P7. Les finds his way around and now has to defend from Dan Shea, who will be looking to recover his position. The fight between Sloth and Donkey also continues as Les grazes the wall. Dan Shea just behind also grazes the wall, but that's not going to stop him as he starts to peek on the inside to the entry of turn 3. They're side by side, but Dan bows out and allows the position to Les. Keeps it planted on the exit of 4. Firing into turn 1 and 2. Little bit of a wide entry. And there's a stopped or a slow car ahead as Sloth just barely avoids taking out a significant battle. Nice and smooth does it for the number 27. Another graze of the wall on Les Paul Obsession. That is going to continue to offer Dan Shea opportunities to get around as the battle between now Maximo and Groove will begin to heat up. Groove fires it late on the brakes into turn 1. Beautiful pass from Groove Armada. And that was for position. Groove now back up to P12 as Dan Shea has gotten back around Les Paul Obsession, but the battle is not over, folks. This is continuing into turn 1. Les hanging it high again. Not able to make it stick. Les really favoring the high line tonight in turns 1 and 2. Very tricky place to make a pass, but you've got a great run if you can keep the momentum as Dan really starting to feel the pressure for P7. Les just trying to make something stick, but the gap is continuing to open. Dan starting to walk away with it. Might have another run going into turn 3. Not going to take it. Didn't feel confident in it. But he's going to start to nose in on the bottom. As we approach turn 1, Les back to the high line. Little bit wide, but he's got a great run on the exit, but he had to check up. Almost drove right into Dan Shea. You saw the brakes glow for just a split second, and that checkup opened the gap significantly. Hit a great run on the exit of turn 2, but as Dan washed up on the exit, it closed the door. They're side by side on the back straight. Les trying to make a move. Late on the brakes and into turn 3. He goes on the bottom, and that is back into P7 for Les Paul Obsession. These two continue to duke it out. Dan Shea just trying to keep him in his crosshairs, trying to keep him in sight and not lose any position. Dives into the slipstream, pops to the bottom. Looks to return the favor in demanding fashion. Gets back around, and we've leapfrogged again, but Les right there in the slipstream as he's working the weight jacker, trying to find an opening. Will he make a move into turn 1? He will. High. Washes high, though. Loses momentum, but sticks it to the outside again. Dan Shea back into the slipstream. These guys are back and forth. Folks, this battle has been going on for 10 laps. These two have just traded blows. And now Dan is going to get bogged down just a little bit by the lapping car of Jeff H. Traffic is not what these guys want to see right now. Jeff H. just trying to continue to expand the gap and make this race on sheer pace. Now Jeff H. has an opportunity to use... now Dan Shea has an opportunity to use Jeff H. ahead to punch a hole in the air and get around as Jeff H. executes beautifully on Les Paul Obsession, getting around the lapped car of Les Paul Obsession. Les washing wide again, dips into the slipstream just to try to gain any amount of ground he can. Not racing Jeff for position, but not wanting to yield any time, as Dan Shea is right there waiting for an incident, waiting for an opening. Les doing everything he can to keep it from happening. What a race we've got, folks. Jeff H. starting to open the gap on the cars behind that he has just lapped. We've had 4 retirees thus far at lap 88. We continue to truck along. Les with a beautiful run. Beautiful battle with Dan Shea there. So the gap begins to open between the two, but Dan not letting it open too far. We are still sub 1 second, and in these cars, sub 1 second is not a very significant opening. One bobble, one bump, and you're right back in contention. It seems to be about the closest gap we've got on field right now as Dan Shea really working the gap. As we ride on board with the number 13 Crosby's Pizza and Subs machine. Les washing wide on the exit of turn 2. Dan just trying to find an opportunity to close some distance, and he is get a great run going into 3, but he washes wide himself as Groove Armada slips down onto the inside. Groove a lap down from these guys. I believe that is It's No Use ahead of Les Paul Obsession. Really starting to hold these faster cars behind him up, even though It's No Use is on a different lap. Really a struggle for the guys behind. They've definitely got the pace. Groove dives to the inside, trying to give an opportunity for these guys to get around. But It's No Use might have been the saving grace that Dan Shea needed, because now the gap is closing quick. Les Paul Obsession now needs to be on the defense from the number 13 car behind. Dan Shea coming back with a vengeance to try to reclaim P7 after a lapse-long battle here at Gateway. Cars all over the track. Almost a massive collision there. Maximo backed out of it, but now it is traffic that Dan Shea has to get around, and it is going to be a challenge. Is now Les trying to get around Groove. What a race, folks. Lap traffic really starting to create a problem for some of these other cars, other drivers on the field, as Jeff H. commanding the field with a 6.5 second lead and continues to open that door as It's No Use continues to fall down the pace. One might wonder if It's No Use is saving fuel and tires. It's No Use, once again, has had a bit of a tumultuous season thus far, not finishing where he'd like to finish. This was your 2025 season champion. He's on pace to win our Indy 500 last year before an unfortunate incident took him out of contention. Really trying to claw back some points. Currently sitting P2. That will be a great recovery. And maybe just what he needs to regain some confidence, as it looks to be another safety car. And the incident looks to be with Randy Magruder. Who has stopped at the wall. Whoops, we're underground. Excuse me. It's very close to pit in. But it doesn't look like he is gaining much ground. As we're under safety car, I would like to take a moment to thank all of our affiliated sponsors. I'm going to have to adjust a couple of them, but I'm still going to thank them all anyways. Starting with Security Solutions. They were our title sponsor, presenting sponsor of our opening round this season over at Watkins Glen. It's a company that our very dedicated league owner works for. Security Solutions, we appreciate everything they do on the back end, keeping the servers up, keeping the dream alive for these guys, and giving them a place to practice and hone in on their times and talents. I'd also like to thank tonight's title sponsor, of course, VPG Sim Gear. They are our presenting sponsor of the VPG Sim 200. We'd like to thank them for all they've done for ARL and continue to do for ARL. They've done giveaways, discount vouchers. Really class act group of folks over there. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. VPG Sim Gear. Look them up. Tonight is the VPG Sim 200. We'd also like to thank SOAP, Specialty Operations and Products, but they're not necessarily the affiliated sponsor anymore. Same person connected us, but we would like to thank Crosby's Pizza and Subs. They have taken over the sponsorship role from Specialty Operations and Products, otherwise known as SOAP. So our season closer this season over at Fontana will be another night race, and that will be the Crosby's 200-mile race to close out our season at the beautiful Auto Club Speedway, lovingly known as Fontana, because that's where it's at. And folks, if you're enjoying this oval action, I got some great news for you. We've got a NASCAR mini-series firing up tonight in just a few hours, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, that is sure to be an absolute blast. We'll be using the stock USA Gen 3, which is modeled after the current next-gen NASCARs. So if you enjoyed watching this oval race, don't go anywhere. Tune back in later, or check us out on SimGrid. Speaking of SimGrid, we'd like to thank everybody at SimGrid for creating such a great platform for us to host our races. As the field now files back to the green flag, and we are racing again on lap 103. It's Jeff H. Tries to continue to open the gap. Les Paul Obsession now facing pressure again from Dan Shade just a little bit. And Crazy Mittens trying to find an opportunity on Sloth. Does shoot around the outside going into turn 1. Beautiful pass. And a clean exit on 2. Crazy Mittens has had some incredible qualifying runs this season. I'm sorry, not incredible race runs. Qualifying somewhere in the 20s and finishing in the single digits or low teens. Certainly somebody that can find the pace and dig. Is now the battle between Dan Shea and second place Merchant will begin to heat up. Merchant peeks on the inside. Dan Shea not going to give him the opportunity. Merchant has to bow out and try to find another run on the exit of 3, or on the exit of 2 perhaps. Maybe the back straight, but not looking like he's got the momentum he needs. He fires it on the outside, going into turn 4, and on the exit, runs her wide and gets ahead. That is a beautiful pass from second place Merchant, and that is for position. Merchant now up to P8 will be chasing down the number 27 LPO network machine driven by Les Paul, Obsession. Is now Groove and Donkey battling it out with the race leader in tow. Donkey trying to find the opportunity to get through. Jeff H hanging high and hanging back, just letting these guys do their thing. Almost a little bit of contact as the race leader dives to the low line just to get around traffic. It's a very dangerous situation for your current championship tie sitter. But he makes it happen as now Donkey grazes the wall. That's going to slow him down just a little bit and give Groove a lot of breathing room. As Groove washes wide and hits the wall, that was not a square hit. I imagine there's some suspension damage on that machine. But maybe not, as he did not dive to pit lane. It seems the car might be okay to continue racing. And now, trying to recover and pick up Sean Stewart. Oh, I'm sorry, Sean Stewart's trying to pick up Groove Armada. I got him backwards. Groove in the chat says, got no damage from that hit, was totally surprised, so lucky. Really were lucky because that was the least square hit I have seen all night. The fact that you didn't shatter a toe link is truly an astonishing feat. As now Les Paul Obsession diving into pit lane. This is a lengthy stop. Unsure if there's damage or something going on with that car. Very unfortunate to see. He had a great race going with Dan Shea. Was sitting right up there in P7 trying to fight off second place Merchant. He's having a great recovery from early race incidents. The field is strung out just a little bit. But it ain't over till the fat lady sings, folks, and she's not even at the track yet. There are still nearly 40, there's over 40 laps left in this event. Moves all over the place. So a gentleman we have not paid much attention to this evening, Tiago Lorena. Not a great qualifying attempt from Tiago, but really making it move in the race. Trying to recover any sort of ground he can. Big incident in the back. Second place Merchant gets run wide and loses the wing. Trying to safely get down to the bottom. Just when he was starting to recover and find his footing. Second place Merchant with another very unfortunate incident. Opening the door for Sean Stewart now to get around some lapped traffic. And we've got another incident back in the back. Reales slides wide and seems to be stuck to the wall. Can he break off for repairs? Pushing the car all the way to the bottom, but it will not stick. He manages to cut it through the infield and get it onto pit lane. He is doglegging it, but he is going to make it happen, I think. Unfortunate. But it's the way you learn here on the ovals. Les Paul Obsession just trying to work his way back up the field and salvage what was a great top 10 run. Only fell down to P12. A little bit of room to make up. Potentially some strategy calls could bring him back into the fight. Maximo in the back. Les chasing down second place Merchant, who I believe is still in pit lane. He is. As a matter of fact, he just got into pit lane, and Les Paul Obsession now back to P11. About a second to gain to catch up to Donkey and Sean. But nothing is impossible as now Fisher battling for Maximo back here, P13. Ryan Fisher did not get any sort of practice or qualifying effort this evening. He joined with 34 seconds remaining in qualifying. Made it in just the nick of time to start in P24. I'd say this is a pretty incredible qualifying, or a pretty incredible drive, considering his starting position and his lack of practice before the race. So now Sean racing up on groove, trying to close in. Catching a bit of a tow now from the car ahead. Can't quite get a good enough run on the exit of these corners. So now Sean going to be pressured from a lap down car, but the lap down car backs out of it, realizes it's not their fight, lets him continue. But Sean simply doesn't have the pace. He cannot catch up to Groove Armada. The gap continues to open. We're hovering right around 6/10, 5/10, but it's bouncing around as Jeff H. now getting in the mix. Very slow on the turn 2 exit. And Jeff H. feeling some significant pressure. This is for the lead, folks. Super Goose jumps into the tow behind Jeff H. behind Sean Stewart, and he will fire to the lead of this race. Debut race with America's Racing League, debut race with the Formula USA, and Super Goose is sitting at the top of the leaderboard, leading our current season leader, championship leader, tied with Tiago Lorena. And Super Goose will complete a lap in P1. Incredible drive and incredible perseverance from the number 14 driver, as it's no use now getting around Jeff H. Jeff H. starting to fall off, leading you to wonder if there's an issue with the car or the driver, or is the strategy starting to unfold. We're at 124 laps into this feature event. Currently, we have a ARL first-time racer, first time in the Formula USA, sitting P1. It's no use. The 2025 season champion sits P2, and Jeff H. continuing to fall down the lineup in P3. Matty Ice Let's give this guy a round of applause, folks. Perfectly executing this race. And really showing what he is capable of. This guy did not have an opportunity to put down a great season in 2025. Just never ran into the right conditions. He'd get bumped or collected or would make a mistake that would be too costly. But this season, he has returned and he is showing everybody that he actually can hang with the guys up at the top. Massive congratulations to his qualifying effort, and I cannot wait to see what he's got in store for the remainder of the race. Thiago Lorena, your other driver, tied for the lead of this championship, not having as great of a race, sitting back in P5. This guy is normally trading places for the win. Championship is going to be a very interesting post-race. Spiky Cactus with his Formula USA debut with us, raced a few of the Porsche Cup races, had some exceptional pace, starting to find a groove here in the Formula USA car. Had no practice going into tonight's warm-up session, so it's all very new to him. Dan Shea currently sits P7, Groove Armada P8, Sean Stewart in the Security Solutions machine sits P9, and Hasta La Vista Donkey rounds out your top 10. Looks like there's debris on the track. P12 looks awful slow. Ryan Fisher seems to have grazed the wall. And that will be a pit lane entry and another safety car here at lap 129. Now, this is where the strategy is going to get interesting. Drivers that manage to come into the box right now could very well complete this race with one more stop, as Real is also stopped in the infield. Boxing now would mean you could make it on tires. You'd have to save them a little bit. You'd have to drive a little conservatively, but you could make the remainder of the race on tires. The question that we are posing, who risks it? Who hopes that we go green the remainder of the race? Really, I expect most drivers that are in contention for the win to box here. This safety car falling just where it needs to split the stints and give you a nice, comfortable buffer, as it's no use staying out. It's no use continues to trail the pace car, and the rest of your race leaders, Super Goose, Jeff H., Matty Ice, Thiago Lorena, the field has dove into pit lane, but it's no use, remains on the track. The question is can It's No Use hold these tires to the end? We've got to go another 29 laps, folks. Fresh tires only have to make it, or can only typically make it, 30 to 35 laps. We don't know when It's No Use boxed last, but this would be an incredible finish if he can manage the tires and bring home the victory. Jeff H., though, with a great stop, trailing just behind your race leader. And I expect the pace car in this lap. So we will dive back over to our favorite restart spot. And they are green. It's No Use taking the field back to the green flag. Jeff H. sitting 4 cars between them. The first time in this evening's event, It's No Use gets to lead the field. And what a breath of fresh air it must feel after the rough season that he's had so far. Not finishing at Watkins Glen, not finishing where he wanted to at Kyalami. He has come back with a vengeance tonight here at Gateway, shaking up the strategy and really doing what he can to make some miracles happen. Matty Ice now sitting P3, and Super Goose fallen off a little bit into P5. Lorena has managed to overtake and jump into P4, recovering some very valuable points right now where he sits in the championship. Ryan Fisher currently leading Maximo, who's really hammering those tires. Jeff H. firing it up onto the inside of Maximo. Second place Merchant and Magruder look to have retired, as well as Prado History. And whoa, bit of a shoulder check there from Sean Stewart. So Sean's debut on the oval, still probably a little bit of learning curve for the boss. But he's found his way back up into the top 10, which is great for a points day here, especially with a drop round in this championship. And Crazy Mittens now facing some pressure from Sloth behind in the 21 Splenda machine. Oh, looks like Sloth may have washed wide. No, he did not. Just did not have a great entry into the corner, and that is going to open up a beautiful gap for Crazy Mittens to start to breathe just a little easier. It's now Lorena and Super Goose very close to blows. There's just one car that separates them, and it is not a lead lap car. Sloth now really trying to find the opportunities, but it is dwindling. And we will jump back ahead to Super Goose and Lorena. Super Goose has gotten around the lap traffic, and now Lorena facing pressure from the ARL rookie. This driver has never raced with us before. This is his first race in the league, in the Formula USA Series with us, and he is showing up, giving a incredibly fast driver a serious run for their money. As now the lap car gets back through as the pace starts to slip for the number 14 machine. And we've got another wash wide. That's going to be Crazy Mittens up into the wall. If the suspension is still in one piece, he can limp it to the box and still finish this race, as we now have 20 laps left in this contest. And the battle at the front is not going to cool off. Jeff H. now 2 seconds down from It's No Use, who stayed out during the last safety car. Very bold move. If he can save the tires, it would be an incredible, incredible victory for the Spaniard this evening. Super Goose seems to have lost an incredible amount of pace, was giving Lorena a run for their money, and now the pace seems to be gone, as now Donkey trying to catch up to Sean Stewart. And I apologize, I think I misread the splits. I think the closest battle we've got right now, folks, is Groove Armada trying to chase down Dan Shea for P7, but even that is still going to be a bit of a stretch. It's Groove down on the inside of the lap-down car of Les Paul Obsession. Les giving way. Tucking into the slipstream behind Sean Stewart. about to get past, or about to get lapped by the car ahead of him. Very, very bold slide down onto the inside, nearly taking himself and Les Paul Obsession out as he fires into turn one. Les backs out of it, giving him the room. And another race now between Dan Shea and Groove Armada. These guys starting to get close. Dan feeling the pressure from the yellow submarine behind as Groove Armada firing to the inside. Drag race down the front straightaway. Who yields going into turn one? Dan Shea later on the brakes, but a little wider than he'd care to be, and that's going to give Groove the break he needs to get up ahead. But Dan, no stranger to trading back and forth as he jumps into the slipstream and looks to try to pounce going into the next lap, potentially into turn one. Can he answer in command? Doesn't have the run he looks for on turn one, as now big incident up ahead. Very unfortunate for the series owner. Was driving a great race there in the top 10, still in the top 10, but by the time he gets around the track, no wing. This is going to be a long limp back to pit lane. Thiago Lorena back up into P3. Super Goose falling off the pace, and Dan Shea took that opportunity and managed to, Groove Armada took the opportunity and managed to pass Dan Shea. Les Paul Obsession will now climb into P10 with the incident involving Sean Stewart. We're now at lap 148 from our race leaders. So there's now a gap opening between P6 and P7. Jump back up to your race leader, who is now Jeff H. I missed that overtake, and I do apologize for it. It's no use falling off the pace pretty significantly here, down to 2.7 seconds, and continues to fall. Keep an eye on the 2025 season champ as he races this last few laps. There's about 3 seconds between him and P3. Can Matty Ice bring it home to the podium as Jeff H continues to drive away from everybody? And I believe there was another incident there on the infield. Doesn't look to have stopped the cars. They seem to have gotten it back up and going. Hasta la vista donkey, and that brings Les Paul Obsession back up to P10 or P9. It's a great recovery for the number 27 machine. 5 seconds down is It's No Use, depending on the corner. And just over 3 seconds to Matty Ice. So we are now at 152. 9 laps to go. Matty Ice is going to be trying to chase. Let's ride on board your current third-place driver. The gears are not correct, if you can't tell. Working to close the gap, and he is. It's down to about 1.5 seconds. Sarge says, longest first gear ever. That is true, Groove. It is the longest first gear ever. We like to put those CVTs in our Indy cars. So now It's No Use starting to face the pressure. Tires might be wearing. Tires might be fading. And Matty Ice in the slipstream. Can he make it happen? Can he bring it home? 7 laps remain. At the line, it will be 6. Matt looks to the inside of It's No Use. Low line, beautiful exit, and a great run on the exit of turn 4. They're going to go 2 wide into 1, but It's No Use doesn't have the tires to hold on. He gets brushed wide and hits the wall. Matty Ice takes P2 and is on track for his best finish yet. The only thing that would make his story tonight better, folks, is if he won this race. He had such a rough season 1. Incident after incident, getting collected after getting collected. Came to the season 1 2026 with a new mindset, new approach, fresh, debuted on a track that he loves, and has really taken that momentum and formed an incredible run this season. Kyalami blew an engine, had great pace, unfortunate circumstance, but tonight he wants everybody to know he is definitely a championship contender. As we wind down, crossing the line will be 3 laps to go. It's No Use continuing to fall off the pace. Spiky Cactus looking to work over Dan Shea. He's going to the low line. Can he get around? He has to dive to pit lane. Cactus dives into pit lane, which frees Dan Shea from any nearby attack. Les Paul Obsession back in P9, as we've mentioned earlier. And Ryan Fisher closing out the top 10. Jeff H. bringing it around for the final lap. Almost from the drop of the green, Jeff H. had this race. Incredible strategy, incredible racecraft, incredible pace. And Jeff H. will be the winner of the VPG Sim 200 in the ARL Formula USA 2026 Season 1. Massive congratulations to Jeff H. Matty Ice with a career best finish in Formula USA in P2. And It's No Use held out, I believe, finished P3. I think this is incorrect. Fantastic drive from everybody involved. Super Goose with an incredible debut race. Led some laps and put it in the top 5 for the first race with ARL, first race in the Formula USA. Massive congratulations to Super Goose. Massive congratulations to everybody in this race. This is an odd bug. What a drive, what a race. Absolute blast to watch. And because I was proactive, I have put the provisional results in. So we will go through the race results and then go over championship standings. Jeff H. finishing P1, netting 50 points in this round. Matty Ice finished P2, would have net 40 points, but did clock the fastest lap of the race, so he gained an extra 2 bonus points. It's No Use, P3 in 35 points. Tiago Lorena took P4 with 32 points. Super Goose, P5 with 30 points. That's your top 5 drivers there. Groove Armada finished P6 with 28 points, and Dan Shea, P7, 26 points. Spiky Cactus, P8 with 24 points. Les Paul Obsession, P9 with 22 points, and Ryan Fisher closes out the top 10 with 20 points. Sloth, P11, 19 points. Hasta La Vista Donkey finished 12 with 18 points. Sean Stewart with a late race incident cost him a lot of valuable position, finishing P13 with 17 points. Crazy Mittens, P14 with 16 points. Real is P15 with 15 points. Maximo with 14 points, bringing him in P16. Second place Merchant, I believe, retired with 13 points in P17. The rest of these drivers are retirements. Randy Magruder, 18th with 12 points. Gabriel Prado, 19th with 11 points. Trucks in History, 20th with 10 points. Morn Deploy, 21st with 9 points. Elbow, 22nd with 8 points. Ted Piper, 23rd with 7 points. And Zigzag Bruno, bringing home the back of the field with an unfortunate lap 1 flip, 6 points. What does this do to the championship contention, folks? Well, it really shuffles things up. Jeff H. continues to lead the championship with 102 points and opens the gap over Thiago Lorena. Remember, they went into this event tied, and now Thiago Lorena falls back to 92 points in P2. And, folks, the podium has changed. Matty Ice sits P3 in the championship with 74 points, leading It's No Use in 4th by just 4 points. Rounding out your top 5 in the championship contention is Sean Stewart, sitting in P5 with 67 points, and 7 points behind him is Ted Piper in 6th with 60 points. Dan Shea sits 7th with 54 points. Groove Armada sits 8th with 52 points. Les Paul Obsession sitting 9th with 48 points. And Sloth sitting 10th with 47 points. Definitely some championship implications going forward in the next few rounds between Les Paul Obsession and Sloth. Elbow sits 11th with 42 points. Anthony Pacheco, who did not make it to this evening's event, sitting 12th with 41 points. Ryan Fisher sits 13th with 38 points. Crazy Mittens sitting 14th with 37 points. Randy Magruder 15th with 34 points. And Degouche, who did not make tonight's event, sitting 16th with 33 points. Zigzag Bruno, unfortunately, had to retire from this event, sitting 17th with 32 points. Hasta La Vista Donkey sitting with 31 points in 18th place. Reales sits 19th with 31 points, tied with Hasta La Vista Donkey. So those two guys have some very interesting battles to go ahead. Second place Merchant, unfortunate incidents these last few races, currently sitting 20th with P20 with 30 points in the championship, tied with Super Goose in 21st with 30 points. Trucks in History sitting 22nd with 24 points. Gabriel Prado did not make it last week to Kyalami, but sits 23rd with 24 points, tied with Spiky Cactus, who made his series debut tonight at 24 points in 24th place. Maximo ARG sitting 25th with 20 points. Morn Deploy 26th with 16 points. Ulatle, or Kevin Flores, sitting 27th with 15 points, did not make this evening's event. Rafafa has departed the series. He was sitting 28th with 9 points, but I imagine that will be wiped. And the rest of the drivers have yet to start an event. So that is a championship implication, the championship fight. That is pending any sort of incident reports or tickets that may be opened that could impede or alter the results. So these are all unofficial results. They are not finalized. Take them with a grain of salt. But as I said, fantastic race. Great job to everybody that partook. Fantastic effort. You guys don't understand. It is not just turn left. Driving around an oval in these cars is a chore. It is challenging. Finding the opening, finding the gap, finding the proper opportunity to pass. These guys did a great job, and I applaud all of them for doing that. So, massive props to all those guys. And like I said, don't forget, if you liked the oval racing we got tonight, be sure to tune in. I'm sorry, if you liked the oval racing we just saw, be sure to tune in this evening for the NASCAR series that will almost surely be a blast to watch. I don't know if we've got a broadcast up for that one tonight, but I will be racing at least in round 1. Don't miss it. It's going to be a blast. We're running the Stock USA Gen 3, which is based on the current next gen. Tune in, sign up, find us on SimGrid, and don't miss it because it's going to be a lot of fun. But I'm going to get out of here, take a break, rest my voice, and get ready. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll see you guys there. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon.